What's up, everybody? So today I'm doing a tier ranking for the complete original Goosebumps series, books 1 through 62. Now, I have older ranking videos of the original Goosebumps series on my channel. I'm not really sure I can still stand by that list, though. It's really difficult to rank the entire original series from least favorite to favorite because it's just really hard to decide which ones I like more on some of them, and I change my mind sometimes too. Some books I might like more one day, and then the next day I might decide to change its place on the list. So, yeah, I just decided to do this tier ranking video instead and kind of update you guys on my opinions of all the Goosebumps books. So, I mentioned in my previous video that I'm going to be taking a break from Goosebumps books and that I was going to be doing one last video for you guys, and this is what this is. So, I'm basically just going to be picking out these books at random and putting them into whatever tier I think they should go in. This is just my opinion. I'm not going to be doing what I think is the most popular or the best ones. Just I'm going to be placing them by how much I like them personally. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about each book just kind of briefly too, because I don't want to make this video super long. We do have 62 books to cover here, so I'm not going to go too in depth on these. But yeah, guys, I'm going to be taking a short break from Goosebumps after a while. I'm starting to get a little bit burnt out on them. I'm going to go back to reading some more of my adult books and doing reviews on those. But yeah, let's just get started. So I'm just going to pick these out at random. First one is Legend of the Lost Legend. This isn't a terrible book. It's definitely not a very good one, but I'm thinking either a C or a D tier on this one. Um, let's give it a D tier. I kind of like it, some of the ideas behind it, but it's kind of just crazy and all over the place with the stuff that happens. There's really not a lot of logic behind it. It reminds me a little bit of Shocker on Shock Street, but even more just kind of off the wall. And the ending is not bad, but I don't know. Shocker on Shock Street at least makes more sense. Speaking of that, we're actually going to do this one next. I'm not a big fan of this one either, to be honest. I know some people really like this book. I've never cared for this one personally. I don't hate it, but I just don't care for it at all. I'm thinking we're going to put this one in the D tier too. Actually, I think I actually like Legend slightly better than Shock Street, to be honest with you guys. I don't know if I want to put Shock Street quite in the F tier though. Um, we'll put it in the D tier for right now. We might change some of this list later on, but for right now, we'll put it in the D tier. All right. Next one is Return of the Mummy. I'm not a fan of the Mummy book, guys. Sorry. I know there's some Mummy fans out there. I think a lot of people agree though that the Mummy books aren't the best in the Goosebumps series. Uh, we're gonna put this one in the D tier too. I was thinking maybe C tier, but yeah, we'll just put that one in the D tier too. I'm not a fan of the Mummy books, guys. So, Night of the Living Dummy 3. This is a good one. This might be my favorite of the Night of the Living Dummy books, to be honest. They're all really close. It's hard to decide which one I like the best, but this might be my favorite one. I will put this one. I don't know if it's quite S tier. We'll go A tier on this one. We'll put that in the A tier. Night of the Living Dummy 3 is an amazing book. All right. Piano Lessons. This one's kind of a stinker for me too, guys. Sorry. The only part I like about this book is in the very beginning, when the ghost is like playing the piano or whatever. I remember when I was a kid, that creeped me out a little bit. But the whole hands thing and I'm not gonna go into spoilers too much, but yeah, this was not one of my favorites. We'll put this one in the D tier too. All right. Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. This is a pretty good one, guys. I really like the Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. I don't think it's quite A tier though. We're gonna put this one in the B tier. Um, Ghost Beach. I think this is a C tier book. Ghost Beach is not a bad book, but it's not very good either. To me, this is just a very generic ghost story. Very simple plot structure. Twist ending is nothing special, just kind of predictable. This one does have some nice atmosphere to it. It is a little bit creepy at times, but there's really nothing else going for it besides that. The plot and structure to this one is just very generic, is the best way I know how to describe it. So we're going to put this one in the C tier. I feel like this is a very average Goosebumps book, maybe even slightly below average, but we'll put it in the C tier. Let's see, what else do we got? The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. This is a pretty good book. I like this one. Um, it's not very scary per se. Feels like more of an adventure type Goosebumps book than a horror one. But this is still a really good book. I enjoy this one. I really like the whole Alaska setting. That one I don't know, it's just got a really nice feel to it. Um, let's put this one in the B tier. I think that's a B tier Goosebumps book. I kind of want to put it in A tier, but I don't think it's quite an A tier. But yeah, that's a good book. I don't really have any huge issues with that one that bring it down for me. It's pretty solid, I would say. Moving on here. Stay Out of the Basement. I know this one is a classic and very iconic, but this has never been one that was one of my favorites. I feel like the twist ending, and the whole reveal or the climax of the book was just a little bit cheesy for my tastes. It does have kind of a cool idea though. Very iconic cover art on this one. Again, just not one of my favorites. I think this is a C tier book for me. So yeah, we're gonna put Stay Out of the Basement in the middle. Very average type Goosebumps book, along with Ghost Beach, in my opinion. Not bad, but not great either. Say Cheese and Die. This is a pretty good one. I don't like this one as much as I used to. I think this used to be one of my favorites when I was younger, and I don't like it quite as much anymore. It's still a pretty good one though. I think we're gonna put this one in the B tier. Yeah, this is a B tier book, I would say. Moving on, guys. I'm trying to go through this kind of fast because I don't want this video to be super long. I see we're already at 7 minutes, or closing in on 7 minutes. So, Monster Blood. Now, this one is very, a lot of people love this book, and a lot of people hate the Monster Blood books. For me, I've always loved the Monster Blood books. That's where my name comes from. So yeah, we're just gonna put this one in the S tier. It might not be the best Goosebumps book out there, but it's just one that kind of holds a special place in my heart. It was one of the first Goosebumps books I've read. Not the first, but it was one of the first. And yeah, I've just always really loved this one. So we're going to put Monster Blood in the S tier. Again, this is just my personal list. If we're doing this based on what I think are the best Goosebumps books, this would be completely different. But yeah, Monster Blood is going in the S tier for me. Let's see. What do we have here? I Live in Your Basement. Man, this is a tough one for me to rate because I love the idea behind this book. I love how it starts out, but it just completely falls apart in the second half for me. This book just has a really good idea behind it. It has some nice psychological horror elements, and not a lot of psychological horror is explored in Goosebumps, but it just completely falls apart and loses its steam in the second half of the story. It is super confusing, nothing makes sense, and yeah. So I think we're gonna have to put this one in D tier just because it starts out good, but and the first half of the book is still really good, but I don't know. I just didn't care for it at all by the end of it. I didn't like the whole twist and the ending on that one, but it's not completely horrible, so yeah, we'll leave it in the D tier. All right, let's see. The Blob That Ate Everyone. This is a really good, really iconic book in my opinion. I remember being really impressed by the twist ending on this one when I first read it. This to me is probably um A tier or B tier. I think I'm gonna give this one an A tier to be honest. Yeah, let's give The Blob That Ate Everyone an A tier. I really like that book. So, all right, what do we have next? How I Got My Shrunken Head. Now, I remember the first time I read this book, I completely fell in love with it. This book just has a different feel to it than most Goosebumps books. This one is kind of leaning more towards the adventure side of things, similar to Abominable Snowman. This one has a completely different setting. It's like an exotic location, some island in South America or something like that. I don't remember for sure. And yeah, this one just has a really different feel to it. It's adventurous. It has some creepy stuff in it, and it's just really good. I really like How I Got My Shrunken Head. I feel like it's a pretty solid story. It's got a nice twist ending to it that's kind of funny, but it doesn't really impact the story all that much, I don't think. I think it's there just kind of for humor, but it works. It doesn't take away from the story. It's not annoying or anything. Yeah, this is a pretty good book. Let's put this one. I'm kind of torn between A and B tier again. Let's just put it in A tier. I really like Shrunken Head. That's a great book. My Best Friend is Invisible. This one to me is either a C or a D tier. It's not a great book, but it's not terrible either. It's got some cool scenes in it, but it does just play off of a lot of old tropes and does have a lot of cliche stuff in it. It's really nothing all that new or special. It's kind of a generic one. I'm kind of torn between C and D tier. I really hate to put it in D tier, but I feel like it's not quite as solid overall as these two books are. So we're just gonna put it in. Let's put it at the head of D tier because this is probably my favorite book out of all of these other ones. But yeah, we're gonna leave it in D tier for now. I might change this list a little bit later too. I don't know. Let's keep going, guys. Monster Blood 2. Monster Blood 2 is probably a C tier book for me. I really like the Monster Blood sequels, but they're not very solid books. They're just more for humor. They're kind of the Goosebumps books you read that you don't take seriously when you read them. They're just fun little romps. They're not they're not very serious, not very scary. The twists, endings, and the resolutions to the climax are very corny, very very cheesy. Speaking of which, let's get the Monster Blood sequels out of the way. Where's the other ones at? Um, why am I not seeing them? Oh my goodness, right here, Monster Blood 4. Let's just put them all in the C tier because I feel pretty much the same about all the Monster Blood sequels for the most part. Where is Monster Blood 3 at? Why am I not seeing it, guys? I am completely blind. Right here. Okay. Yeah, I feel pretty much the same about all these. Monster Blood 4 is definitely the weakest in terms of how well written it is and how many plot holes and flaws there are with the story. Monster Blood 4 is definitely the weakest of the three, but I still enjoy all of them about equally, I would say. They're just really cheesy fun. That's really what it comes down to. They're not the most well written or thought out Goosebumps books, but I still have fun with them. But again, I feel like they don't really deserve anything higher than that, and I get more enjoyment out of like Pasadena and Say Cheese and Die. So we'll just put the sequels all in the C tier, which is like average, middle of the road type Goosebumps books. So, all right, let's see what we have next. The Girl Who Cried Monster. This is a really good one. I don't think it quite deserves it. Well, do I want to give it A or B tier? I feel like really what makes this story is the twist ending. So we're gonna just for that, we're gonna put it in the B tier. Because if it wasn't for that twist ending, this book would not be as good as it is. So yeah, I don't know. We'll put it in the B tier for now. I liked this book a lot more when I was younger, but as an adult now, I don't like it quite as much just because it's still a really solid book, but it's very basic. It kind of started the whole trend and story structure that this one follows. A lot of Goosebumps books repeated the formula that this book used. So this one is kind of a classic in the series for that reason, but I don't know if it quite deserves A tier. We'll put it at the top of B tier. That's what we're going to do, if it'll let me. Yep, there we go. Okay. Because out of these ones, I would say this one is definitely the best. So we're going to kind of order them too a little bit when I'm being indecisive like I am. All right, moving on, guys. Camp Jelly Jam. This one's very mixed for me. There's a lot of things I do not like about this story, and there's a lot of things that I love about it. This one's kind of a hard one to rate, but we are going to put it in B tier because I don't quite feel like it deserves an A tier. I do understand the love some people have for this book, though. It is really good, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. We're gonna do B tier for this one. I really love Camp Jelly Jam. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. B tier is about right for me anyway. All right, Night of the Living Dummy 1. This one is also kind of a hard one for me to rate because all of the Night of the Living Dummy books are really good in my opinion, but the first one suffers from a really big flaw. And this is going to be a minor spoiler, so just a heads up. The big thing I don't like about this book, the big drawback for me, is all the pranks that the one sister, I forget her name, one of the sisters plays a bunch of really outrageous pranks that she's just trying to like scare her sister, whatever, and make her think it's the dummy. And like the pranks she pulls are completely outrageous. Like she destroys the refrigerator and pulls out everything and makes a huge mess. And that to me is just ridiculous. Like, who would do such a thing? Like, it's just not very believable or fitting to her character. And the fact that they reconcile so quickly and make it seem like it's no big deal, that's always kind of bugged me about this book. And to me, the other two Night of the Living Dummy books don't really have any glaring flaws with them. This first one is the only one that does, but the first Night of the Living Dummy book also is the darkest and the creepiest one, in my opinion. It just has like this kind of atmospheric feel to it that the other two, while the other two are amazing, they don't really quite have that dark atmospheric feeling to it. I don't know what it is exactly, but this first one just, I don't know, it just feels a little bit darker. Oh, man, this is really tough. I think we're gonna put this one in B tier, but at the head of B tier. It's right up there with The Girl Who Cried Monster for me. So yeah, let's just do that for now. Again, I need to move this along, guys, because I know I keep mentioning this, but I don't want this video to be super long, and I know you guys probably don't want to watch an hour-long tier ranking video. So, Attack of the Mutant. This one for me is probably a D tier, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of that book, and I think the reason is it just doesn't fit my taste. I've never been into comic books or superheroes or anything like that. I don't think this is a bad book, though, which is why I'm not putting it in the F tier, but I just don't really care for it all that much. It just does not fit my taste. So, yeah, D tier for Attack of the Mutant. I know that might tick some of you guys off. I know Attack of the Mutant kind of has a cult following. There's a lot of people that like that book, but I've just never been into like the comic books and superhero type things, so that one just does not hold my attention at all. Night in Terror Tower. I really like this one, but it does get a little bit repetitive with all the chase scenes in it, and I do like the twist ending, kind of, but it does leave some plot holes and things unexplained that bugs me a little bit about it, and it really brings down my rating for this one. But I do like the setting and some of the elements that it explores. I think this was the first Goosebumps book to kind of explore magic a little bit and minor spoiler, time travel. So we are going to put this one. I don't know if I want to put it in the B or C tier, guys. I should have made more tiers instead of made a couple extra ones or something. I don't know. Let's put this one in the B tier for now. We'll put it at the end of B tier. Let's reorder these a little bit. So on the left side here are more of my favorite ones, and then on the right side are more my least favorite. I definitely like these three here more than these three at the end here. So yeah. All right, let's keep going, guys. My Harriest Adventure. The only good thing about My Harriest Adventure, in my opinion, of course, is the twist ending. The twist ending is kind of dark and reminds me of something straight out of the Twilight Zone. But that's the only redeeming quality of this book. Honestly, I think this is going to have to be our first F tier book. I do not like this book other than the twist ending. Like the rest of it, I could just care less about. I've never liked this Goosebumps book. It's always been one of my least favorites from the original series. So yeah, nothing more needs to be said about that one. Let's move on. You know what? Let's throw another one in the F tier real quick. This also happens to be one of R.L. Stine's least favorite Goosebumps books. He mentioned it in an interview about someone asked him what his least favorite Goosebumps book was, and he mentioned this one. And yeah, this one is just not good, guys. We're not going to talk about that too much. The cover is cool, but that's literally it. The story sucks. So yeah, the Barking Ghost is going in the F tier. Um, you know what? We're on a roll, guys. Let's just add another one to the F tier here. Say Cheese and Die Again is not a good book. It is probably the worst sequel in the original Goosebumps series. Yeah, there's just so many plot holes in Say Cheese and Die Again. So much stuff that makes sense. That doesn't make sense, excuse me. And the parents in this book are probably the worst parents in any Goosebumps book ever. And by that, I mean not that they're mean or cruel, but their characters are just completely unrealistic as to how adult characters would act in real life. Like, it is just so completely ridiculous, some of the stuff that happens in this book. It's just not enjoyable whatsoever. So, yeah, that one's going in the F tier for me, too. Phantom of the Auditorium. I enjoyed this one. This is not a bad book. I don't know if I want to give it a B tier though or a C tier. It's definitely not an A tier book or anything. This one is just more of a grounded Goosebumps story. It's not crazy. There's not a ton of supernatural stuff going on. No monster. It's pretty much just a kid's retelling of the classic Phantom of the Opera type story. Obviously, the title gives it away a little bit. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, it's a good book, but it's nothing super special. I don't know. I think we'll put it in the C tier for right now. Yeah, we'll put it in the C tier. It's a decent book, but it's not great. Um, Excuse me, I have to take a drink real quick. Okay, Calling All Creeps. This one is going to be, I think, a B tier. Actually, I don't know. I don't like the twist ending on this one, if I'm being honest. I don't care for it all that much, just because I feel like it goes against the character's actions early in the story. If you guys have seen me talk about Headless Halloween in my Series 2000 ranking, you know that the twist endings to these books are kind of similar in the sense that it just counteracts everything that was going on earlier in the story, and I feel like just kind of ruins it a little bit. So I think this one's going to go in the C tier too. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. All these books in the C tier, I enjoy these books. These aren't bad Goosebumps books by any means. I just feel like they're not that great. There's flaws with them that bring my ratings down a little bit. And yeah, I feel like this is kind of the average and slightly above average territory. Calling All Creeps is a good book. I enjoy it. I just don't love it or anything. So yeah, C tier for that one. Um, Deep Trouble 2. That one's going in F tier. I'm not even going to discuss that one. That one is going straight in the F tier too. You know what though? I think I actually might enjoy this one slightly more than some of these, so we'll put it at the top of F tier. And I do mean very slightly more, not by much. Be careful what you wish for. Another F tier book, guys. That's probably my least favorite in the entire original series, to be honest, or one of. I really do not like Be Careful What You Wish For. Not a good book. Egg Monsters from Mars. Oh boy, here we go. You guys have probably heard me talk about this book before on my channel. Now, Egg Monsters from Mars, again, this is kind of a tough one for me to rate because I love everything about this book except for the twist ending. It's not even really much of a twist. It's just the very last sentence of the book. Literally, the very final sentence of this book is complete trash. When I was a kid, I was so ticked off when I read the last sentence of this book that I actually ripped out the entire last page. And with that last page ripped out, um, what comes before that actually makes sense. Like it ends a little bit abruptly, but it actually makes sense, and the book is way better because of it. But I really love this book. Just that twist ending is terrible. Um, this is a tough one. I want to give it an A tier, but because of that last little twist, I think we're gonna have to settle for a B tier in this one. So we're just gonna kind of put it in the middle of the B tier here. But this is just such a great book. I don't know why I like it so much, but I really do. Um, it's got some darker stuff in it, some darker themes to it, and yeah, I don't know. We'll put that one in the B tier though. If it wasn't for that ending, it might almost even be an, well, maybe not quite an S tier, probably an A tier, but because of that twist ending, we're gonna put it in the B tier, guys. Ghost Camp. Um, this is kind of one that I want to put in between B and C again. We'll put it at the top of C tier. Let's do that because I feel like it's a little bit better than these other C tier books, so but not quite as good as these ones, in my opinion, of course. I know a lot of people really like Ghost Camp, but for me, it's just an above average Goosebumps book. It's not great. I'm not in love with it, but it is a good book. I do enjoy it. So we'll put it like at the top of C tier because I do feel like it's better than the Monster Blood sequels and Phantom of the Auditorium. So yeah. Let's do Cuckoo Clock of Doom next. This one, for me, might be a D tier to be honest. I'm not a big fan of this book. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all, but maybe a C tier. I feel like it's on the lower end of the C or maybe on the upper end of the D tier. Let's do the upper end of the D tier. Right above My Best Friend is Invisible. I do feel like it's slightly better than My Best Friend. It's not letting me put it past it. So I guess it's just going to go there, guys. Deep Trouble. This one's definitely a D tier. The best thing about Deep Trouble is the cover art, even though the cover art is a lie. I love the artwork, but it's a lie. It has nothing to do with the story. I don't even think there's a shark in the story, at least from what I remember. It's about mermaids, and I don't think even that's much of a spoiler because I think they come into the story pretty early on. I don't think Deep Trouble is a horrible book, which is why I'm not putting it in the F tier. It's just mermaids, really? I feel like that doesn't belong in Goosebumps, guys. I have no interest in reading a mermaid book, especially when the cover art shows a vicious man-eating hammerhead shark. So, yeah, that one's going in the D tier, guys. I remember being disappointed with that one when I was younger too, because that awesome cover is just so misleading. All right, let's move on to Night of the Living Dummy 2. This one's definitely an A tier book, right up there with Night of the Living Dummy 3. I think I might like 3 slightly more. I don't know. They're both very good. Like I said, all the Night of the Living Dummy books are really close together. The first one is the darkest of the 3, in my opinion, and the creepiest. But again, it has some flaws with it that these two don't have. So, yeah. Why I'm Afraid of Bees. Probably another F tier book, to be honest. Actually, it's not quite as bad as some of these other ones. I might put this one in the D tier. You know what? We'll put it on the low end of the D tier. It's like upper end F tier, lower end D tier for me. I don't like that book very much at all, to be honest. If I'm being honest with you guys, I don't like these bottom 2 tiers. I really don't care much for these books at all. Um, a couple of them are okay. Legend, Cuckoo Clock of Doom, and Best Friend is Invisible. These ones are okay. I don't hate them or anything. But the rest of these books, I really could live without, to be completely honest. I don't exactly hate these ones here, but I could live without them. These ones at the very bottom, I do kind of hate to some degree or another, especially these last like 4 here. All right, moving on. The Haunted School. This one's kind of average for me, maybe slightly above average, so we'll put it in the C tier. Beware the Snowman. This is another one, kind of like I Live in Your Basement. It starts out amazing. I love the first half of the book. I love the wintry landscape, the cold, isolated setting and atmosphere. I like the setup to the story, but I hate the twist, the reveal. It's just very cheesy and it doesn't do anything for me, guys. It's kind of disappointing. I really don't like the climax to this one. So we're going to put it in the C tier just because the first half of the book is so good. And the second half just really brings it down. I actually almost want to put it in D tier, to be honest. Um, I don't know, guys. We'll put it on the upper end of D tier. For some reason, it's not letting me put it ahead of My Best Friend is Invisible. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'll put it in the upper end. It's like, I don't know. We'll put it in D tier for now. I'm not going to spend forever being indecisive. One Day at Horrorland. I think you guys already know where this one's going. Straight to A tier. Actually, I almost might put this one in S tier, to be honest. We don't have very many S tier books, guys, so let's start being a little bit generous. We're putting One Day at Horrorland in S tier. Such a classic book. One of the best in the original series, in my opinion. This one, the reason I like One Day at Horrorland so much, again, this one I think was one of the earlier ones I read, not one of the very first, but one of the earlier books I read in the series. And it's just such a mix, a good mix of all the elements of Goosebumps books, like humor, creepiness, everything. Like this one just has a really good combination of everything in it that makes up what Goosebumps books are. So yeah, this one's just going in the S tier, I think. Go Eat Worms, another F tier book. How I Learned to Fly. Now this one really surprised me. I remember reading that as just a kid and being really amazed with it because I did not expect to like it. The cover art is not even that good. Like it just shows his feet and like there's some birds. Like I don't know. I had not don't really care for the cover art and even the title is doesn't it's not very enticing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I remember being a kid and opening this book up and thinking I'm not going to like this one. Like this book is probably going to suck. But it's actually one of the best books in the original Goosebumps series. It has kind of a deeper message to it, kind of like The Haunted Mask, some deeper themes to it, and it's very well written. Again, it's one of those Goosebumps books that's more of like an adventure type story. It's not very scary, but it's very, very well done. Yeah, I feel like this one deserves its A tier status in my opinion. So yeah, Werewolf Skin. This one's going in the A tier too, I think, or B tier maybe. No, let's put this one in the A tier. I really like Werewolf Skin, guys. This is one of the few Goosebumps books that actually scared me when I was younger. I've never been one to scare easily, even as much as I love horror. Probably that's why, just because I've been so desensitized to everything. But there were a couple of Goosebumps books that creeped me out a little bit when I was younger, and Werewolf Skin was one of them. So I have a lot of just nostalgia tied to this book. But I do think it's a good Goosebumps story too. I'm not just going off of sentimental value here. This is definitely one of the better ones in the series. This is the best Goosebumps book in the last, like, I don't know, 5 or 10 books in the series. The series started to decline in quality a little bit, in my opinion, once it got towards the end of its lifespan. But Werewolf Skin is definitely a standout among the later books in the series. So, yeah, this one's going in A tier. What do we have next? Chicken Chicken. Do I want to put this one in the F or the D tier? Chicken Chicken is pretty notorious, I think, for being one of the least popular books in the series. I don't really know of anyone that really likes this book, to be honest, and for good reason. It's not a good book. The plot is very paper thin. Again, there's not a lot of logic behind some of the actions the characters um, do in this story. It's just, I don't know. It's not a good book. Um, but I feel like it's not quite as bad as some of these other ones, so we'll put it at the upper end of F tier. We'll do that. I think it's slightly better than Say Cheese and Die Again, Be Careful What You Wish For, Go Eat Worms, but not by much. So yeah, we'll put that one at like the top of the F tier. The Beast from the East. This one for me might be A tier, to be honest. Actually, maybe upper B tier. This is a really good book. I really love Beast from the East. I just don't know if I want to quite give it A tier status. It's right up there, in my opinion, with Girl Who Cried Monster, Camp Jelly Jam, Night of the Living Dummy. This is tough, guys. I'm being really indecisive right now. We'll put this one in the B tier for right now. I kind of want to give it A tier status because I'm kind of looking at some of these other A tier books now. The Blob That Ate Everyone, How I Got My Shrunken Head, and these two are also really close with some of these top B tier ones. Like, honestly, I could probably move some more of these books up to A tier. We'll just leave it for now. I might make some changes when we're done. I don't know. We'll see. Don't Go to Sleep. This is a pretty good one. Um, I think I'm gonna give this one B tier. We'll put it at the lower end of the B tier though, or actually maybe C tier. I don't know, guys. I kind of have mixed feelings on this one. I like it, but at the same time, I don't quite love it. I feel like this is one of those slightly above average ones. So the more I think about it, the more I think I'm gonna put it at like the top of C tier, if it'll let me. There we go. Because I think I like Don't Go to Sleep better than Haunted School and Phantom of the Auditorium, but I don't think it quite deserves to be in the same tier along with some of these other books. So yeah, we'll put that one in C tier. But I do really like that one. All right, guys. Welcome to Dead House, a classic, the very first Goosebumps book, and it's a great one too. For being the very first book in the series, this is still one of the darkest and creepiest books in the series. There wasn't a lot of humor in this one. This is just straight horror. It's a very classic, like traditional haunted house story. It's nothing super unique, but it does what it does well. So we're gonna put this one. We'll put it in like the middle of B tier. Let's do that. Um, Came from Beneath the Sink. This is a really solid book too, guys. I almost want to put this one in A tier, to be honest. I really like this book. Um, Maybe B tier. We'll put it at the upper end of B tier, right next to Beast from the East. We'll do that. But that is a really solid book. I really don't have any issues with it, except for the resolution is slightly cheesy. I don't know, it's a little bit corny. I'll just say that. No spoilers or anything. But what the characters do to solve their problem with the gruel, which is the thing that's given them bad luck in the book, it's a little bit cheesy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any big issues with that one. It's a really solid book. So let's Get Invisible next. I think this one's a C tier for me. It's at the upper end of C tier though for sure. I think I like this one a little bit more than Don't Go to Sleep. Let's actually move Don't Go to Sleep down a little bit. Let's move it like right here. So I think these ones are a little bit better than Don't Go to Sleep. So yeah, I like Let's Get Invisible, but it is a little bit repetitive, and the good part doesn't come until towards the end of the book. And yeah, I don't know. The monsters, I'm just calling them monsters to prevent spoilers. They're not really monsters, but the villains of the story, I'll say, they come into play too late in the book. By the end of the book, you just feel a little bit tired from reading a lot of the same stuff over again. And then by the time you read the climax, the story is pretty much over with. So yeah, I'd say this was just an above average one. So let's move on to Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes. This one's I'm not a big fan of this Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, guys. Let's put it at the bottom of D tier. I feel like it doesn't quite deserve F tier status. We'll put it in D tier. Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. This is a good one. This one's going in B tier, I think. Yeah, let's put it in B tier. Slightly above these last few B tiers. Not quite as good as Night of the Living Dummy or Girl Who Cried Monsters. So yeah, we'll put it over here. Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns is a solid B tier book, in my opinion. Just to clarify a little bit again, S tier is amazing, like the best books in the series, or my favorites, I should say. A tier is really, really good. I love these books, but not quite my favorites. B tier is really solid. I like these. These are all really good books. C tier, I really like these ones too, but not quite as much. This is just like the slightly above average territory. Good, but not great. D tier is kind of meh. These books might have some redeeming qualities, but they're not very great. I was about to say perfect, but these ones are far from perfect. And then F tier, this is the sucky territory. These ones are honestly all trash. I would care less if these books were in the series at all, to be honest. These these ones I might like a little bit, but F tier, yeah. Let's not talk about those any longer. The Haunted Mask. This one is going to we'll put it in A tier. I will explain real quick my reluctance in putting it in the A tier. Now, when I was younger, I actually never liked the Haunted Mask. I think part of it is just because of how popular this book was, and I wanted to like kind of go against the grain a little bit. And I don't know, there was just a part of me that never could really get behind this book when I was younger. I don't know what it was exactly. But yeah, I feel like it does deserve A tier status just because of how iconic and popular it is, and it really is one of the most solid Goosebumps stories there is. There's really not any flaws with this book. It's just very well written. This is one of the few in the series that has a good message to it as well. Good morals like kind of surrounding the story. So yeah, the Haunted Mask deserves A tier status. I don't like it quite as much as these other ones, so we're gonna put it at the bottom of A tier. Um, yeah, bottom of A tier for the Haunted Mask for me. Let's just get the Haunted Mask 2 out of the way. This one is C tier, I think, for me. Actually, maybe B tier. Um, I don't know. It's definitely not as good as the first one, in my opinion. It's not terrible, though. We'll put it in C tier, guys, because I don't think it deserves to be in the same tier with some of these books. I like these books a lot more. The Night of the Living Dummy and It Came from Beneath the Sink, Camp Jelly Jam, so yeah, we'll put Haunted Mask 2 in C tier. This is like the average territory or above average, as I've already mentioned a few times. The Ghost Next Door. Now, if you guys have watched many of my Goosebumps books already, you probably already know where this one's going. Straight to the top of S tier. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about this book too much. This video is already kind of long. We're almost done. So let's just kind of get through this, guys. Bad Hair Day is... We'll put Bad Hair Day in this bottom of C tier. Headless Ghost. This one is C tier too. You know, let's rearrange this a little bit. I think Don't Go to Sleep is slightly better than Ghost Beach. And I personally like the Monster Blood sequels more than Stay Out of the Basement. So let's rearrange this just a little bit. There we go. That's looking better. Yeah, Bad Hair Day is, I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of don't. It's nothing really special. It's kind of bland. There's really not a lot going on with the story. It's not scary at all. It's just kind of bland. It just doesn't have a lot of feeling or tone to it. That's the best way I know how to describe it. So we'll put it in the C tier because it's not terrible. It's just kind of dry. There's not very much going on with it. So, Curse of Camp Cold Lake. This is a very mixed bag for me. Curse of Camp Cold Lake, I think, deserves to go at the bottom of C tier, or maybe D tier, actually. We'll put it at the bottom of C tier. Eventually, I want to do an individual review on this book because I have a lot to say about it. It's a very mixed bag for me. There's some theories I have with this book. I want to do like a story analysis on it one of these days. There's some things I really like about this book, and there's also some things I really strongly dislike about it too. So we'll just put it in the C tier, very middle of the road. It kind of balances itself out. You Can't Scare Me. This one for me, I think, is going to be B or C. We'll put it at the bottom of B tier. Actually, I lie. We'll put it at the top of C tier. That's what we'll do. Because I really like this book, but I feel like the execution isn't the best on this one. And it's probably one of the most anticlimactic Goosebumps books in the entire original series. It just has one of the most disappointing endings, and not the final twist ending, but just like the whole climax, the way everything plays out towards the end. It's just very disappointing. But I really do like this book still. It's not a bad book at all. I just feel like it could have been way better than it was. So, yeah, we'll put this one in the middle of the road, C tier territory. That's what we'll do. We'll put it at the top because I think I like it more than some of these other ones like Bad Hair Day, The Haunted Mask 2, The Haunted School. I feel like this one is just slightly above these ones at the bottom. So I feel like it's right in line with Let's Get Invisible and Ghost Camp. Maybe, actually, maybe not quite as good as those two. I don't know. We'll just leave it there. I could spend forever moving these books around. So, and I know you guys don't want to watch this any longer. Video is already kind of turning into a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. So let's just kind of get these last few out of the way. Werewolf of Fever Swamp, going straight to S tier, guys. One of my all-time favorite Goosebumps books. Just such an amazing book. I love how it's basically about a kid and his dog, about the bond that they have. I love the twist ending to this one. I love the dark, gritty atmosphere this one has in the isolated setting. I love everything about Werewolf of Fever Swamp. I have really no complaints about it. I will admit it is a kind of a simple story. There's not a lot going on with it. And it's not exactly the most unique. It's kind of a basic mystery slash horror werewolf type book. But yeah, this one just really holds in a special place in my heart, kind of like Monster Blood. But I feel like this one's more solid than Monster Blood, if I'm being honest. So we're going to kind of rearrange these a little bit. So yeah, that Werewolf Fever Swamp is definitely an S tier book for me. Welcome to Camp Nightmare. This one's B tier. Yeah. Actually, yeah, B tier. I don't like the twist ending on Welcome to Camp Nightmare, but I really do like the rest of the book. But we're putting it at the bottom of B tier because, again, I like these books more. Beast from the East, It Came from Beneath the Sink, Girl Who Cried Monster. Basically, these first like 6 books on B tier, I like the best. I'm kind of rearranging them again. Like I said, these ones on the top or left side of the tiers are more the ones I like more, is what I'm trying to say. Vampire Breath. This one is lower end B tier. This is kind of a weird one that kind of falls in between for me again. I'm not really sure where I want to put it. We'll do upper end C tier. Vampire Breath was one that I loved as a kid, but this is one I don't like as much more now as an adult. I've kind of lost my love for it a little bit, so we'll put it in C tier. Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. This one's going in D tier, right next to Return of the Mummy. Sorry, guys. I know there's some of you out there that probably really like those 2 books, but I'm just not a fan of the Mummy books. I don't hate them, but I just don't really care for them all that much. I feel about the same for both of these books, to be honest. Probably like 2.5 out of 5 stars or something for these ones. So yeah, very average or slightly below average books for me. All right, guys, we are to the last book, How to Kill. Whoa, sorry, I almost clicked on an advertisement on the side of the screen there. I think my cursor went out of view of the camera, but This one for me is A tier. I think so, guys. We'll put it below the Haunted Mask, though. So, the reason I love How to Kill a Monster so much is this one also has some glaring plot holes in it. Probably some of the worst plot holes in any Goosebumps book out of the original series. This one's really ridiculous. Very ridiculous. A lot of the stuff in it does not make any sense. But to me, it's just so much fun. I have a lot of fun with this book. This was also one of the first ones I read as a kid, so again, I have some sentimental value with this one. I just really like How to Kill a Monster, guys. This is a great book. So, all right, let's just kind of recap a little bit. I know this video is 45 minutes already. Let's just kind of go over things and see if there's something I want to change maybe. For the most part, I feel like this is pretty solid and kind of reflects my opinions on these books fairly well. Again, these are definitely my top 4 Goosebumps books. Um, these 4 books I completely love. I would give all of these books 5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, some of these other books I could probably move up to S tier. Night of the Living Dummy 3, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if I quite like that book as much as these other ones. Werewolf Skin 2 is a really good one, but I just don't know if I quite want to give it S tier status. I think all of these books in the A tier for me are like just below the 5-star mark. Like these are all like 4.5 out of 5 stars if I were rating them on a 5-star basis. So yeah, we'll just leave that like it is. B tier is kind of the same way. Actually, I almost want to move Beast from the East up to the bottom of A tier. Let's do that because I really like that one. I feel like that kind of deserves A tier status. Some of these other ones, I almost want to move up to A tier too. It Came from Beneath the Sink, The First Night of the Living Dummy, and The Girl Who Cried Monster. These 3 could arguably be moved up to A tier for me. I just don't know if they're quite as good as some of these other ones, though. That's the thing. But these ones are all better than like the lower end of this B tier. Excuse me, I'm starting to stutter a little bit now. I've been talking for so long. Yeah, guys, let's just leave it as it is. I could definitely change this list around a lot more. I'm a little bit indecisive, as you guys can see. In some of these books, it is hard to decide which ones I like more because a lot of these books have aspects to them that I really, really love, like Egg Monsters from Mars. But there's also some parts of the story that just really bring down my rating and love for the book, like the very last little twist ending to this one. If this Egg Monsters from Mars had a different twist ending, this would definitely be at least an A tier book, if not an S tier. Probably just an A tier, to be honest, but like at the upper end. But anyways, guys, we'll leave this list as it is. Um, yeah, this is my ranking of tier ranking of all of the original Goosebumps books. Yeah, those are my top 4 favorites. These are my least favorites here at the bottom. I could give 2 craps less about these Goosebumps books. These ones are horrible. I would not recommend reading any of these. D tier, these ones are not terrible, but they're not very good either. Some of them have some redeeming qualities, like I Live in Your Basement. Beware the Snowman has a great first half. Best Friend is Invisible is okay. I kind of like that one. But yeah, these ones just aren't that great. C tier is where things start to get good. These are like the average to above average. And then B tier, these ones are really good, really solid stories. A tier, I love all of these books. All really good Goosebumps books. And then the S tier, again, these are my personal favorites. This is like the big 4 of the Goosebumps books in the original series right here. So yeah, guys, again, this is just my personal opinion. Comment down below and let me know what your favorite Goosebumps books are in the original series. Let me know what your least favorite are. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. It did turn out to be a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but I tried to kind of just go over these books briefly. But anyways, guys, I'm going to take a short break from Goosebumps now. Like I said, I've been getting a little bit burnt out on it ever since I got into collecting them again last year and reading them. I've just been reading them a lot ever since I got back into it last year, and I'm just going to take a short break for a while, but I decided to do this one last video for you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed watching. Yeah, guys, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.